evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our very special unveiling. I am Shastra Maharaj, and I am the Vice Chairman of the Public Relations and Publicity Standing Committee. We are absolutely sure that you all would have seen our teasers put out on our main Facebook page a couple of weeks ago, indicating our very special reveal. Without further ado, I welcome the Chairman of this committee, who is also our Public Relations Officer, Dr. Kirk Megu, as we introduce our special unveiling.
Thank you, Shastra, Vice Chair of the Public Relations and Publicity Standing Committee of the United National Congress. So today, it's an exciting day, it's an exciting event. We are launching and unboxing the official newspaper of the United National Congress. This newspaper is really different from anything else that exists on the media landscape in Trinidad and Tobago today. And we're very, very excited about it. We think this is going to really change the media landscape in the country. And so what we have here today is just a walkthrough through the paper, the layout, where you can access it, some thoughts from behind the scenes from the contributors. And so we will just be going through that this evening before we actually launch and unveil it for you. So let me pass it back to Shastra for her to explain to us why we did this. Shastra.
Thank you, Chair. So this checklist was not a product of our team's ideas. This was actually in accordance with our constitutional mandate, Section 29D, number 4. According to the terms of reference, the committee shall be responsible for printing, publishing, and circulating a regular party newspaper, newsletter, and pamphlets in an effort to promote the aims and objects of the party. Therefore, our vision statement of checklist is to educate, inform, inspire, and motivate Trinidad and Tobago towards achieving our true potential of becoming a thriving and united nation.
Right, so for our listeners here who want to access the checklist when it is unveiled, how should they do so? We will ask our Secretary of the Public Relations and Publicity Standing Committee, Kamla Pagu, to explain that for us. Kamla?
The pleasure is mine to educate everyone on how you all can access this wonderful newspaper that we are going to launch tonight. It's definitely going to be on its very own website, the checklist. It will also be accessible on the UNC Facebook page, the UNC website, the UNC app. And if you would like to have a subscription via email, there will also be a part on the Facebook page where you can send your email addresses, or you can also contact the constituency offices to get this done.
So this is just a small representation of our contributors to the paper. On my left is Mr. Neil Gosain, who was also one of our contributors and writers. Would you like to say a few words on why you think this paper would be of importance to the Trinidadian population?
Sure. Why I like the paper, first of all, is the look of the paper. It's crisp, it's new. Black and white contrast, something that we haven't seen in a long time, right? One of the main things, of course, and the advantages of it, it is free for now, right? So it's free, and beside that, you can read the news anytime and anywhere. So that is an important issue. It gives you more choices And you can read a vast number of articles, news, editorials at any time that you like. 24/7 access is a good thing as well. Online news are updated instantly and thus provide you with real-time updates. It's customized for the UNC population, our team, our people, and also the general public to get a feel of the political atmosphere. It's very important now for us to see that and to be able to access what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is why we need the checklist. I think you all should really look at it, visit the sites, read the articles. They're incredible. Sasha?
Thank you, Mr. Gosain. So, Kamla, why did you decide to join the checklist? What made you feel like this was the platform for you to write?
Okay, so definitely would have been in discussion over the last couple of months. It was something that I thought that, voices can be heard that was not really heard. It was an avenue for persons to come forward and express themselves. Most importantly, it is a forum where we can fight for our democracy. It's something that we will get our voices out there. So definitely I was very happy to be one of the persons who did contribute in some way or the other and to put out things that we thought that was not being heard. So I decided that this was the only avenue and this is the only way forward for us to change Trinidad and Tobago.
Because yes, sometimes people complain, that the media, they don't cover a lot of things. They don't cover a lot of areas in the country. They don't cover a lot of things that are going on, and especially when it's done by the opposition or in opposition areas. It's concentrated around Port of Spain very much, and everything that reaches the newspaper does not necessarily reflect what's going on in the country. Is this something that you have, that was part of your thinking?
Yes, more or less, that's along the line that I've been thinking. With this newspaper, I'm sure that the real facts will be highlighted.
So as we're on that, to pick up from Dr. Mego, you spoke about the fact that it's the opposition and it's the checklist. I mean, the checklist in essence means you're keeping something in check. So what inspired you to come up with the name, the checklist?
Well, yeah, I mean, the checklist is really an unusual name for a newspaper. Usually, there's things like The Observer or The Sun, and you could go in every country or in every, city in, big city around the world, and you'll find the same names kind of over and over again. And, we really wanted to break the norm and just not necessarily follow. We are living in a time where there's so much that was traditional just no longer is done anymore. So why do we have to follow the old media models or the old news models? We don't. And so this was part of the thinking. So one of the suggestions that had come up was the checklist. And just like later on, we'll speak a bit about the black and white, which is also unusual. But people were saying the checklist, that sounds kind of strange. But let me just read a little bit about the thinking behind it. So here it is. If you're going to launch a rocket or switch on a nuclear reactor or perform major surgery, you'll need a checklist to avoid disaster. There are critical procedures. These activities are critical, and so is political activism and strategy. So in modern political activism, political planning for precise results can't happen without a checklist, or as we say, without everyone being on the same page. I thought of the name, this is the person that actually came up with the suggestion when he sent it to me. So the name was thought up, also because it's an excellent mental tool to help organize personal and collective activity, and one that everyone can share so as to be on the same page. And also viewed from the outside, it shows concern for precision and for organization. And finally, in building powerful political brands, there is great value in how much your tag can be expanded into actionable items. So from the checklist, you get keep them in check, checks and balances, checkmate, check yourself, checkpoint, check into, and of course, check out. So finally, you can have other characters and things as well based on the idea. So the whole notion of the checklist, and we also have a little section called the rec list to kind of rhyme with the checklist about all the things that really are going wrong in the society, because that's what we are here to correct. But so this is the thinking behind the checklist. It's a new name for a new approach to media and the news. Thank you.
So a little surprise is that Dr. Megu is also a contributor, as am I, so do look out for our pieces. Mr. Gosain, what do you think people should read in the paper?
Obviously, all the editorials. They are great. I think the first editorial on the front page is awesome by our editorial editor. But what you must realize that the checklist is provided through this type of medium, which is online reporting. The digital media use has increased, and it provides instant coverage and views pertaining to our political atmosphere, political events, even important news events, and is accessible to everyone. Media outlets known for their political journalism have increased their use of this form of e-newspapers. So it's important that we look at it. Printed, online, and broadcasting political humor presented as entertainment has been used to provide updates on aspects of the government status, political news, campaigns, and election updates. And of course, we'll have a lot of inspirational stories in our checklist. And I think everyone will love the rec list. The rec list is something that I am sure monthly, and when we win more editions of the papers bi-monthly, and the rec list will be something I will look forward to. Sashra?
I just want to interject here if possible. But yeah, that's an important point. Right now, the checklist comes out once every 2 weeks. Right? So that's interesting because, you know, a newspaper comes out once every day. So you have a certain type of perspective. A Facebook post can come out whenever, once every minute, 10 a second. So that gives you a different pace of activity. So the checklist is looking at things in a little bit more of a longer type of view. And as you say, talk about the contributions and online journalism and so forth, online media. You will find in the checklist there are sections there where we invite people to submit photos, to submit stories, to submit ideas, because this is also participatory journalism. We want to be part of it. And just like Kamla, our secretary, was saying, this is to get the stories that the media does not pick up, does not want to pick up, or does not know. But we are filling that gap. We're not just sitting back and complaining, we're doing something about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very important new frontier for the UNC, for the PRO himself, and for our team. It also gives our leader a new platform as well, and she will be focused, and she will have a voice in the checklist. Sasha?
For sure. So, Dr. Megu, what do you think we should say to encourage people to submit their articles and their viewpoints?
Okay, that was a surprise question to me. But again, it's what I was saying just now, that if you feel that the media has not represented a story properly, or if you feel that they are concentrating on some things and not other things that you think are important, that the country should know about, well, we are here to be your voice. Right? So perhaps maybe something might be rejected. Maybe you may have submitted somewhere else and it's rejected there. Well, you can send it along to us and we will see if it is newsworthy, to provide that other perspective, to widen our perspectives and to give the truth. Because unfortunately, there is a bias in the media and we have to work against that. And that's what we're doing, to give the truth, not to give another bias, but to give actually the truth.
Now, another key feature of the checklist is that we encourage persons to ask their questions so that clarification could be given. So there's something in this particular checklist edition about local government. There are many times that people will come by and not know the differences in jurisdictions between local government councillors and Ministry of Works and Transport. So anytime that our membership feels like there's something that needs to be cleared up or perspective needs to be shared, feel free to submit your questions and ask, and we will target the relevant parties and get the answers and post them out via the checklist issues. And another thing too that I thought would be key to incentivizing persons to come forward is that we have a section on motivating young entrepreneurs, basically to provide them with guiding factors on how to go about starting their businesses, how to overcome challenges. So it's not just political issues, it's national issues. So I think that's also a key thing.
Also help them to promote, and go on and beyond what is expected.
Right. Yes, it's for you. Why is the paper black and white?
Right. The decision to go black and white was not a universally received one when it was first proposed, because there were a lot of people who said, black and white? Why black and white? Can't we just put a little bit of color? But why all black and white? But I think most, if not all of you, would agree, when you take a look at the final product and you see it, you see the classiness, the seriousness of it. And there's a little write-up that I would like to read to give some more insight into why we chose this. You see, because presenting your information in specific ways gives a certain slant, gives a certain flavor, gives a certain seriousness and gravity to the information you present. But from the very first moment we started thinking about the paper, we saw it in black and white. At least some of us in the planning committee did. And we knew people would like it, even though there were some objections, because we knew what it would look like. We knew that elders, the older generations, they would be transported to the media of their younger days. For the middle-aged who yearn for simplicity, it would be pure oxygen. The design is just pure and clean. And for young audiences, it will be fresh and cool and stylish. So we started to tell black and white stories, some old and some new. We remembered the seminal black and white work of our great painters, graphic artists, and mask makers that shaped our aesthetic culture, because this goes beyond. We are really digging into the aesthetic history of the country and bringing out this aspect of it. So, in other words, it's not totally new. Some of the most important artistic statements in this country have been done in black and white formats, and for those of you who are familiar with the artistic world will recognize that. So, and many of these artistic works that were done in black and white were deeply political. And if you think back, you'll remember them. Some use mythology derived from Africa to create brilliant drawings and poems about a people stuck in no man's land. And some playing mass with thousands wearing white like canvases for the endless shades of black, brown, and white skin. These works spoke powerfully about why we should fear leaderlessness, underdevelopment, racial strife, state failure, and colonialism. This stuff was plain talk in black and white. No trinkets, no frills, no padding, no puffery, just black and white. These works changed our understanding of who we are. And I'm talking about the old works which we draw inspiration from. That's what we want. And that's what we want the checklist to do. Black and white runs like a diagonal backbone in our national flag. And like horizontal bridges in our banners. Pretty soon we'd see so many of them for Independence Day and then again for Republic Day. Black and white also holds together so many of our national brands. Look at what was Petrotrin, what is NP, what is Nallis, and what is the National Gas Company. Our sportswomen and men wear black and white as well, the whole TTO team in Tokyo. It's undeniable then that black and white is embedded in our collective psyche. If we were to tie our patriotic DNA to color, we'd be 2/3 black and white. When you're keeping things in check, you have to reduce all the noise right down to figure on the ground, right down to black and white.
That was a very, very analytical and in-depth response. I'm sure everyone appreciated that. So I think we have given as much information as we could. If anyone else, you have anything else to add? I guess we would be looking forward to the responses from our first issue from everyone. And this is just a small representation of our team, but we would really like to thank our other contributors. Oh, okay, so before we thank anyone, we have the unveiling, the actual unveiling of the checklist. So we will show a brief navigation through so people can see how to access the categories. So we can begin that now. Yeah. So let's get ready.
Yeah. Right, so that was just a little walkthrough of the checklist there, and we have various sections of the newspaper that we will be building up, and you'll see all the categories and how you can go through all the information there. So thank you, Mr. Archie. I'll hand it back to Shastra.
Okay, so we just want to thank the rest of our team who could not make it, which would be Richard Rampasad, Bima Ram Logan, Lisha Dory. I'm forgetting some person.
Yeah, one person that I would certainly like to reach out to and thank is MP Rushton Parry, who really provided excellent technical support and material support. Very, very crucial, and we really appreciate his enthusiasm and his putting his money where his mouth is. Thank you, MP Rushton Parry. Anybody else we forgot?
Ourselves. We only hope that you all enjoy this as much as the process was to create it. It was intense, but I think we definitely enjoyed every moment of it, and we really hope for great feedback. So please send in your feedback, send in what you would like to see so we can only improve moving forward. So we would like to thank Neil Gosain, Kamala Pagu,
Shastra Murad,
And of course, our leader, Kamala Prasad-Bisessa. We'd like to thank her and her vision, which had a great impact and help with her vision with the checklist. And of course, some people that remain in the background that probably don't want their names mentioned. We want to thank them. They know who they are, especially the artists and who gave us the black and white vision.
And I do have to reinforce what you just said. Not only the political leader who has really encouraged us with her support and her enthusiasm and her vision and so forth, and the whole NATEX, the chairman, Dave Tanku, the deputy political leader, Jerlene John, and then we have the NATEX members like Neil Gosain, like Nicholas Morris, people who sit on the editorial advisory board, all the support from the party. It's a team effort, and it is really a great thing, the way we've all worked together to make this happen. So I genuinely and sincerely want to thank everybody for all their support in making this come to life. Well, that brings us to the end. So I want to thank you again, and please enjoy reading the first issue. We look forward to your feedback, and look out for issue number 2. Thanks and good night.